Okay. Okay. So welcome everybody to the session. For me, I will say good morning for all the chairs. Today it's also a good morning because we are all in Europe. But wherever you are, in which time zone, good morning, good day, good evening. I'm very happy to see you all here virtually. And we will have this session completely virtual. So this is not a hybrid session. This session will be recorded. And after the event, after a while, it will be made available on the RDA website. I will ask everybody to mute when they're not talking. So everybody here in the session have the possibility to unmute yourself. And also we give everybody the possibility to share the screen because we have an active part in this session as well. So maybe if somebody wants to share the screen, everybody can do this if they want. If they don't want, it's not necessary. You can use the chat function as well. We already posted a link in the chat function to the documents. Please fill in your name in this document so that we know who are attended after the session. You can ask any question during the session, so you can use the chat for this, or you can unmute yourself. And we are now, we three, Ellie, Joanne, and me, Raman, we will be your hosts today. The agenda for today is it's a small session, so we did this estimation of time in the preparation, but maybe depending on how many people are always attending, so maybe it's a little bit shorter as well, especially in the working time. So we will start with a welcome. So we are right in the welcome. And then we do a presentation of the case study template. So we want to make some case studies about engaging researchers, and for these we developed the template. This will be presented. Then we like to get into the active session. So we try to do it like we see us all together in person, working together on the template, so that you can bring in your experience, your use cases, and also during this active part, we can discuss, we can talk about the use cases, but in the end we like to get also some feedbacks, how you like the session, how you think about the use cases, how you think about the template, what we prepared, and then we have some closing remarks. If there are any question remarks at this point. So if not, we will proceed.
If not, then yes.
Please, Ellie.
If you can go in, so we have we have organized this Menti just to get to know each other, and if you can log into menti.com and enter the code 41849309, and I'm switching to my searching tags. Okay. And
post the number
okay,
of-
you already entered. So where are you connected from? So I'm connected from Greece. My colleagues Raman is connected from Austria, hopefully still.
Yes, from Austria.
And Jean is connected from Leiden, she already mentioned, in the Netherlands. Near Leiden, is that you? Okay, we have Singapore, Tasmania, Korea, Berlin, Europe, Paris, Finland. Wow, okay. Perth. Okay, so we have people coming from different regions. That's really good. Really good to see. Prague. Excellent. Well, good morning and good evening, everyone.
That's always fascinating with RDA or with this data week that we have so many people from different regions of the world. That's always great, and this is the part I really like most from RDA, to get so many experience and so much knowledge from all over the world.
I see only 14 people have given their answer, and we're 23. Someone else that would like to give a chance to drop in the answer? No. Okay, then I'm moving on. How would you describe data management engagement activities in one word? For me, it would be, let's say, enthusiastic, I guess. I get kind of enthusiastic while thinking about planning things for those activities in Greece. So challenging, vital.
Challenging, yes, it's very challenging, but I would also say it's I like it because it's for me it's driving into different worlds, with engaging with different researchers with different disciplines. So it's really interesting.
Sorry? Okay, fun, challenging, difficult, vital, proactive, interesting, diverse, user-centric, connection. So you'll see the pros and cons, let's say, like what we have to, the challenges that we have to face. We started actually with talking about challenges in people attending some of the sessions due to COVID. But yeah, challenges and also the importance of those activities, and that we can make it fun. Okay, now I'm moving on. What is one thing that you always incorporate in your research data management engagement activities? And apologies for the for this, it was supposed to be a question mark. For me, it would be, let's think. Yeah, I can agree to that. It's my researcher point of view. Yeah, so researcher is always at the center. Stretching the data do not have to be made public immediately, correct? Or openly, yeah. at all. There are access restrictions that we should point to, access rights. Encouragement, yeah, encourage people to not see it as a very complex thing and just make it part of their everyday workflows. What's in it for these carrots, not so much sticks, yes. So focus on carrots. Provide examples. Advice on preservation, because that, okay, I see, because that provides a different, let's say, angle to the research data management. It's of the value because we could preserve something. Active participation, yes. Pointing out that it's not very hard to do. Open mind. Stories of success. Encouragement again. Getting my researchers to create a data management plan for me at the beginning of the project. Think of benefits to science and society rather than a checklist exercise. Yes, stories and examples, active listening. Yeah, tell them they get credit for data citations. Yes, so highlight all these different positive aspects. All right, and then for the last one, what is the biggest challenge that you face in engaging with researchers about data? And I mean, for me, I would say that it's the researcher assessment, how it is at the moment, the current framework, but at least in Europe, this is changing. So hopefully, not hopefully they have already started seeing benefits and not having that much doubt because they understand the value of research data management, but they now feel more comfortable in terms of their career to follow the best practices. So getting them to make time to do it, often they leave it until the last minute.
I see it also a big problem of the time. So a lot of researchers tell me that they don't have the time to do it. And I think it's also very challenging for the whole data management process to bring this as a integrated part of the research work as well. So I think there will be some cultural change needed, that this is not something additional, that this is part to do it as a good research.
So lack of interest, lack of time, yes, and that cultural, yes. Finding a common language.
Yeah, finding a common language is a good point. It's also not easy to that some researchers really understand what we are talking about. In some cases, they tell me that this is something what they always did, but when you look closer, it's a little bit different, because when the storage is on their own hard drives, it's different to preserving data.
Planning new activities to engage them while you are in the right place for inspiration. 10 years, no, I said their willingness to share data, yes. Change in mindset, cultural change, they're not sure what to open and what to close, so more awareness and training, convincing them that other people are interested in their data. Limited time, resources, yes, time again, making sure they enter an appropriate amount of the data, making sure to see the practical value of data management, confusion between VMP and obligation to open the data. Yes, that I can totally agree. I have seen that multiple times happening. Managing very different levels of knowledge in one session, yes, that's also an issue. And I think that we have all, I don't know about you, we'll talk about during the discussions part of the session, but it's true that we know that they should be different levels, that we should provide training and, any presentations to engage with researchers, but I'm not sure we're totally doing it. For example, for me, I don't have material for different levels of or novice, researchers in data management or experts or whatever. So I'm afraid that, yeah, I can see that as well. Need to build trust first, yes. They're absolute refraction to mandatory objects like DMP today for some projects, yes. Okay, these are really good points. And okay, and with that, I'll give the floor to, oh no, is it me that I'm again, but I have to switch. Let me switch. Okay. Okay, I'll continue sharing my screen for a little bit before I hand it over to my colleague to talk about what we're doing. Actually, what are the outputs of our activities? So we have been in this group, we are 9 to 10 chairs currently, as you saw in the first, one of the first slides. And we are from different parts of the world, not only Europe, which is today's, the chairs are from Europe today, but we have quite a good amount and representation from the US. And of course, we are looking for more people to become more active from different parts of the world so that we strengthen our work. So we got together because we understood that we could see that many things were happening in terms of activities around data management, and not only also training, but also more engaging activities that we'll talk about later. And we knew that things are happening, but we wanted to just understand the landscape, let's say, and understand what are the commonalities, the differences between approaches, what works, what doesn't, and provide like a novice and innovative, let's say, approaches for things that do work or have worked in different locations and different institutions to other people in a way that is good, in a way that is coherent and easily understandable. And also not about all the activities that different people are doing, but of the technicalities behind them, like how much, how many people should be involved for a particular activity, how much resources or not does this activity require, and so on. One of the newest outputs of our group is this, is the podcast. It's called IDEA, Improving Data Engagement and Advocacy. And you can find it also on Spotify. And I would like to try and share the trailer with you because our colleagues in the US are responsible, they coordinate this effort, and they couldn't be here today, but I think that the trailer is a good way to be able to connect with them, because they provide their voices in this podcast. They have it every month. They try to engage with different people around the world, with different professionals, different backgrounds, from different disciplines and institutions, and inform about new things that are happening. So if I can go to this, if I can go here, oops, not here. No, let me go again. And I do this.
Curation professional, chances are you spend some time.
Do you hear it?
Yes, it works.
Ah, perfect.
Working with researchers. Maybe you're a librarian consulting with lab groups, or a data curator embedded in a project team.
You probably also know there's no one right way to engage with those researchers. Depending on their data management needs, their research needs, and even your institution, your mileage will vary with different data engagement activities.
So if you're looking to shake things up, try some new approaches, it makes sense that you'd want to keep up to date with what others like you are doing. But that takes time and energy and a lot of downloaded PDFs that tend to gather dust on your browser's bookmark bar.
So we're here to help. I'm Shannon Sheridan.
And I'm Brianna Ezra-Wham.
We're data professionals from the Research Data Alliance Group, engaging researchers with data. And our bread and butter is reaching out to researchers and engaging with them on issues of research data management. And we're always looking for new ways of doing so.
And we figured, why not share that information with everyone? After all, we can't be the only ones who are trying to do this work.
So here we are with IDEA, a podcast about improving data engagement and advocacy. In our episodes, we'll be bringing you interviews from real-world data professionals who are engaging their researchers in new and novel ways.
We'll also be reviewing the literature and keeping you up to date on what's getting published that's worth a read, or in our case, a listen. We hope you'll join us as we talk with our colleagues and see what's working or what's not in the wider world of research data management.
After all, information sharing is what we do best. Subscribe to IDEA, the podcast for busy data practitioners, from wherever you get your podcasts.
Okay. So yeah, if you, I don't know if someone has, I cannot see the chat, but if someone has already shared this link, can I copy it and insert? You can go and enroll, subscribe here and get an idea of what's happening every month. Okay, maybe I can share it. And first episode is with someone from the Harvard Health Library Department. So interesting things. I'm not going to spoil more. You will listen. Interesting things are being talked there.
And this podcast idea is also the basic idea of the whole working group, of the whole interest group here in RDA. It's all about sharing experience, so things that we have done in practice on different level, on different region, on different universities, so that we can learn from each other, because we all have different sizes, different resources, and there is no one way that works, and there is not one size fit all. And we can learn as people who are in data management, who wants to engage with researcher, who wants to bring all good data management practice into life. We have these challenges. We have seen also by the mentee session, what Ellie showed us, that challenges is a big thing, and we're facing these challenges because that's all new, and to sharing all this information for this interest group is the right place. We had also a cookbook that was the start of everything. Now we are doing these podcasts, and also with this podcast is to broaden all the information we get, and also this input from you, from your side. That's why we have also these templates for the use cases, because we think in use cases and we think in experience, and we want to share the information, and we want to give everybody else the opportunity to adopt all these things, the use cases and the information and the experience to your personal day-to-day life.
And also, if you have an interesting activity that you want to share with others, this is a good, let's say, group to participate in. And yes, following what Raman said about the cookbook, our first output before the podcast was the cookbook, which is a collection actually of case studies from across the world, from different institutions and universities, research institutions and universities. And in order to write this cookbook, we held a survey, right? We received more than, like, I remember, 800 responses or even more. But we followed the methodology, so our data were processed in a specific way, and then we provided all this information that we collected in a way that can be read easily by you. So here you can see that each case study, these are the numbers of the case studies in the cookbook: 1.1, 1.2, 2.1, 2.2, and goes up to 8.2. So each case study, you can see and understand from the icons that we have used and from the instructions at the beginning, how many researchers it's targeted for, how many PhDs, for example, maybe these activities for PhDs, how many people should get involved, the target audience overall, the main drivers. Was it this activity is top down, bottom up? Is it researcher led, is it disciplinary, interdisciplinary, those kinds of things? How easily it can be implemented, what are the amount of staff, like how many people in terms of staffing this activity requires, costing of the materials that should be prepared and to perform this activity, cost of infrastructure that might need to acquire or I don't know, maybe develop from scratch. For example, if we're talking about preservation activities, someone might not have a repository and it's in their roadmap, and those kind of things increase, let's say, the cost and cost for people also. I will also add this link to the chat. So you can have a look and you can see what others are doing in their engagement activities. And now the floor to my dear colleague, John.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. So following on from the cookbook, okay, I will share my screen as well because I'm going to keep using the slides for a little while longer. The cookbook, as many of you I'm sure are aware, you've probably already seen it, and that was produced before the pandemic, when everything was normal. The focus really was on in-person activities. Then, of course, during the pandemic, everyone had to adjust and go online. And so we had to look at how we transformed our training into online training sessions. And then for us at Leiden, certainly we started first with the training, but then we started to think, okay, this is going on a long time. We need to make sure we reach out to researchers and engage with them in other ways as well. So one-to-one consultations are easy, training, you can work on and transform that into a sort of online environment. But what else can we do to engage with researchers? So we started looking at one-off events, special kind of networking events to bring people together with an interest in data management, or making the trainings more suitable for online delivery. So at first we really just reduced what we did, I think, but still did presentations. But then you start to realize, okay, we need to make sure we engage with people a bit better when we're in an online environment, and that's more challenging. So I think everyone's been going through this process, and maybe now we're starting to ease back into in-person events, but of course we don't know if that will continue. Certainly we're experiencing right now a hybrid situation where we're expected to deliver some in-person events, but make allowances for people who can't attend, and so allow them to join online to the same event. So we have challenges at the moment. We may have lockdowns in the future and need to move back completely online. But even if we go back to the old normal, I think we have learned a lot about online delivery, and there is an audience for online sessions and online meetings. And so what we thought it would be useful to do at this point, we've had a couple of years of experience. We thought it would be good to collect examples of these online engagement activities so that we can record them, we don't forget how we've done them, but also so that we can share them more widely to give inspiration. I saw from the Menti poll that it's a challenge to engage people, to interest them, to really get them to understand some of these issues. And some of the best ways to get people to understand is to have them doing things with you. So we're interested in all kinds of case studies for online engagement. And we want to start by making a collection of these. So anything you feel was interesting to share with others, we're interested to know about that. We're not promising a book, but what we thought we would do initially at least is try and share these examples online somewhere now, and this is where we're interested for your ideas as well, because we thought about making a Zenodo collection and just putting the PDFs on there describing the activities. But if someone has a better idea how to make these examples visible and maybe even searchable, then we're interested to hear from you about that. So we're going to look at the template we've designed. Instead of a survey itself, we thought it might be nice to just produce a template so that it gave people more space to write and describe their activity in the way that best suits that activity. So we didn't want to be too prescriptive. So we have a template, but as it's a Word document, you can edit it and change and write whatever you want into that. So we're interested in what you think of the template, whether we're missing any questions that might be useful, whether it fits your case study, if you have one, and also your suggestions on how we share the results. And we've got the template available, so if you want to fill it in today and send it, we're happy to receive them. And of course, we'll keep in touch with you if we find a way to share them in a different way, or we make any changes and we need to keep in touch with you, we will do that. So we're happy to start receiving those case studies straight away. So we thought maybe Ellie or Raman can post the link to the template into the chat while I'm speaking, but we thought we'd show you through some slides a glimpse of the template in screenshots, just to explain it. So because we want people to be able to contact the creators of the activity, if you like, and potentially, if you want, to cite your activity, if people want to reuse it in a different way. It depends on the kind of activity you have, but we'd like some information about you or the creators. So we've asked for the names, so you can give credit to whoever was involved in creating the activity, ideally with ORCID IDs, if people have them, and an email contact for further information. So this is not for us to contact, but if we publish your case study, who can people contact if they want to find out more or they have questions? And then a bit of information about the roles that you have, your job title or your institution, and your profile picture, if you want to include that, just to give it a human touch. But a lot of, I say, this is a Word document, so when we say mandatory, that's just an indication of what the kind of minimum information we expect, and then optional are fields that if you want to add things, you're welcome. And I say you can interpret the questions how you like, to a certain extent, to try and explain a bit more about your activity. So then we have a section that's more about the activity itself. So what title would you give it? If we make a list of all the activities, what's the best title for your activity to explain what it is? And then a bit about the type of activity. Is it meant to be an icebreaker? Is it a game that people can play? Is it part of a training activity, hands-on? So you can use free text to explain it, but the kind of activity we're talking about. And what's the purpose? Is it in order to give information? Is it an introductory kind of activity? Is it to show people how to make their data open or fair? Or is it to inspire them at the beginning of a session so that they pay more attention? So what's the purpose of the activity overall? And then some space to give a description. And we said a guidance of around 200 words, just so that we don't have 15 pages of description, so like an abstract to explain to people how the activity works. What is it about? If you like, you can indicate what aspects of RDM it addresses. Is it about fair data? Is it about open data? Is it about sensitive data? Is it introductory information? So again, some kind of indication of what aspect of RDM it addresses, and whether there's a target audience. Is it more for students? Is it more for researchers? Or is it indeed for data stewards themselves? So we also do some activities with our data stewards to try and start discussing topics, and sometimes it's nice to have an activity that's really designed for support staff rather than the researchers themselves. So you can also include those in the case studies. An idea of the number of participants it's suitable for when they're working online. So it might be that you say that you can have as many people as you want doing this activity, but certainly I know from some of our activities, you need maybe people working in pairs or small groups of 3 or 4, or it's an individual activity. So you can cope with maybe 20 working individually, but if you start going to more than that, it starts to be difficult to handle. So some kind of indication what size group you can work with. And then we start to move into questions more about how to deliver the activity or how to facilitate the activity. So how many people do you need? What kind of roles do they have? Do you need one person to demonstrate something and another to take notes? Or do you need to have breakout rooms and you need one facilitator in each breakout room? So an indication for people who would like to replicate the activity, what what kind of staffing level they would need, and the kind of tools that you are using to deliver that. So yeah, I've been using Padlet quite a bit in some of my sessions, but we saw today Mentimeter. People are using all kinds of quiz software. So if you indicate what you're using, or in general terms, the kind of software you might need to deliver that, again, that's an indication what people will need to set up before the session starts. So also, because these are sort of snapshots of case studies, it might be that there are other resources that you need to actually run the activity. So if it's a quiz, what are the kind of questions that you have? And can you provide those in a list as an appendix to the description? So we've designed an escape room, so we could put the link to the escape room in this document so that people can then go and actually find the materials themselves. So what are the resources? Are they available online? Can you link to them? And if not, can you attach them to the case study so that we can also put them, if we load them in Zenodo, for example, we can also load them there as well. And then there's some, we come on to some background activity to help people get a feel for how it went for you. So some activities may be more successful than others, but if you can indicate when you first use the activity, or well, you could even say we use it regularly, so it's being constantly updated every year or whatever. But to get a feel for if this is something that you did 2 years ago and that's it, it's 2 years old, or if it's something that you're updating, or it's still relevant. So to give people an idea if they need to think about that. And what kind of event you've used the activity in, whether it's an open event, an open science community event, a training course, and it was just one of those sessions. So some indication of how you've used that activity. And if you have any feedback, for example, if people said, well, I liked the first part, but the second part was difficult to follow or understand, or yeah, just positive feedback. This was a great way to, I wish every session was like this, or any feedback you've had from participants that again helps others understand what kind of response people might give, and whether anything needs tweaking before they deliver it. Any challenges that you've experienced, and we've allowed you to put in, or invite you to put in, any screenshots or images, photos that you might have that might also illustrate the activity. And if you've had any feedback, or if you're thinking it does need some work, you can indicate that in the form as well, like this needs to be revised every year, or the last part didn't get such a good response, so could do with tightening up a bit or a bit more explanation. So ideas for future development that others might like to take into consideration. And a question, can the activity also be delivered in person or during a hybrid event as well? Because I think some online activities you can still deliver in a classroom environment or real life environment, and some are suitable for hybrid, but not all, depending how much interaction you want people to have. So some indication or your thoughts on that we invite. And then if you want credit, then please indicate that in your case study. If you're happy for others to use it however they want to use it, just take the idea and go with it, then you can say, free to use for anyone. But if you want people to cite you to reuse, then make sure you include the correct creators and the title for the activity and the year, so that people can give you the credit that you would like. So that's the form that we have at the moment. You can download it. You can't edit it because we thought that might get too chaotic, but you can download the form yourself, I hope. That's the settings I've put in. And so we're happy for you to try filling this out and give our feedback either during today's session or after the session. I'm happy to receive feedback on the form, or if you think of a field that would be useful to add, for example, or you're struggling to understand what you're supposed to put into the form, then any kind of feedback on that form is very welcome. Yeah, we're interested also today to see if it's sparked any ideas in you of things you would like to share with others in today's session. So whether you have something like an RDM quiz that you've used as an icebreaker to get people energized and laughing, maybe. I don't know what kind of quizzes you might have used. Certainly we've tried some quizzes out. I'm not sure how successful they've been, but I'd be interested to know if anyone has been using quizzes. Do you have hands-on activities that you've used during training sessions that are interesting to share? We've had quite a few of those at Leiden, and I'm planning to make some case studies for those. And that's an area where I think there's potentially a lot of interest from people in finding, we talked about in the Menti, how to engage people, how to inspire people, how to explain why they should share their data. And sometimes there are activities that you can use that help people realize for themselves the importance of sharing their data in a good way. So any kinds of activities you have used online we're interested in, or any kinds of events that you might have organized for researchers and may have done something with them online. We're interested to know. We hope that there's a wide variety of activities, and we hope that by sharing, everybody sharing, we can all learn something, we can all get some inspiration for the future. So we're not looking for presentation slides, I hope that's clear, but for real activities that allow the researchers to become engaged with the topic of research data management, whatever aspect of that is. So you can think about the whole range of research data management, whether it's writing a plan, whether it's dealing with MRI data, specialist data, sensitive data, making data sharing agreements, using research environments, making data fair, making data open, and any aspect at all, introductory level, advanced level, something in between. Whatever activities you've been involved in, or if you've participated in one and you would like to ask them to share that activity because you were inspired by it, you thought it was a good activity, then please encourage your colleagues to have a look at the form and fill it out and send it to me. And I say we are hoping to collect as many as possible and just make those available to people to start with, and then depending how many we get, we'll take it from there. And we also, you may have been wondering, how will Brianna and Shannon find people for their podcast? We're also hoping that people who submit case studies might consider also talking to them for a podcast as well. If we see something that's interesting, I certainly think they would like to contact you and discuss whether you would feel comfortable participating in a podcast and having a chat with them about your activity. So it's sort of a way that the two things are coming together a little bit, the podcast and the toolkit. So yeah, maybe I can stop the share now and we come back to the room. And yeah, we've got a bit of time now for you to talk to us if you like. Tell us about an activity that you've been delivering or involved in. Did you have any exercises you've done online with people that really engaged them? Yeah, we're interested to know. Would anyone like to share anything today? And I don't know if Ellie, maybe to get things going, you could start by explaining one of the things you I think are involved with, right?
Well, there are a few things. So the one that I posted in the chat is not something that I was involved in. I was lucky enough to be in this network of people that were, got to see this quest. This is an open science quest. Organized by the University of Luxembourg, a colleague of mine, Jonathan England. And this quest was very interactive. It involved, so the target audience was the students, of course, PhD students and master students, and it required different means of media and things to interact, to create puzzles around, let's say, because this is a quest, so it has puzzles that the people participating have to solve in order to, at the end, get to the final to the solution of the quest and get their prize. So they had to create they had to write some text, they had to, for example, create a poster where something was hidden inside the poster. It was an open science related poster, right? So information about open science. And one thing led to the other, also audiovisual things like a small video showing something. So things that could really make people engage and be more, let's say, active in searching for things that are around data management, for example, licensing or things about preserving data or sharing data and stuff like that. So I will try to find other resources like implementation that could be interesting in terms of implementation, and I'll share it with you. But for the moment, I think this is an excellent resource that you can reuse. Yeah. And what we're doing in Greece is that because sometimes tools can become a means for engaging with researchers, like a repository can be one of those kind of tools. A data management planning tool can be another tool. And what we're doing in Greece is that we use Argos data management planning service, and I will add here, to engage people with data management, because there are some automations introduced in this tool that they really see the benefit of sharing their data even before the end of the project, so that they can immediately have them described in the data management plan. So they really see the interconnection of different systems, and that they don't have to do a lot of things, go here, go there. Yeah, that's from me. And I see someone from the University of Bath, and do you want to go ahead? Julian.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good. It didn't work in other sessions, so I'm rather asking. So this is not from me. This is just a very nice example I stumbled upon online, and I really like it. It's just a text adventure. You click through it. You have several options to choose from, and then you get points. And there's a range of points you can get, and they explain why you get only, I don't know, a third of the points, because you didn't choose to make the data online available, you didn't choose the right license, whatever. So pretty nice.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. That's really great.
Yeah, and along that line, I've posted a link. If you haven't seen it already, the online data horror escape room, which sounds scarier than it is, of course. We developed in the Netherlands right at the beginning of the pandemic for Halloween themed session with our open science communities here. And since we delivered it to that group, which was I think about 80 people the first time we used it, or maybe that was the second time, but let's say we've used it more than once now, the online escape room. And we've also used it with some master's students who thought it was absolutely fantastic. And apparently the lecturer, we were a guest session during a lecture about book and digital media studies, and the lecturer said afterwards, "I'm scared to invite you again because your session was so much more popular than the rest of my sessions because they got to play a game." And so that went really well for them, and it introduces all kinds of concepts connected with data management, and it's intended to be a tool to then prompt discussion about data management. So if you haven't seen that already, I'd recommend having a look. It's been used in quite a few other countries already for these kind of fun sessions with researchers. So you're welcome to use that. Everything you need is there on the website. So it's very easy. Just you need to solve it yourself first, but then it's very easy to deliver. And I see a hand up, Kylie Black, maybe you've got
Hi, Joanne. Hopefully you can hear me. All the way from Australia over here. It's the afternoon, so very civilised for us. I love the sound of that horror escape room. Definitely going to check that out. My comment is more an idea for possibly an additional question for the template. One of the challenges we experience at my university is just getting people to whatever it is we organise, or people using online resources, because of course there's so many things hitting their emails, everything that's going on. I'd love to know, in connection with some of these wonderful examples, how on earth people have got the message out to get 80 people doing the escape room or whatever it is. I was thrilled earlier this year where I did an online research data management 101 workshop, and it was promoted through the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and also through our graduate research school, because we were really trying to target new high degree by research students. And I was thrilled that 80 people registered, and then about 50 turned up, which is kind of normal at my institution. So yeah, we'd just love ideas for how to promote these things and get your way through all that noise that's affecting all the researchers.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, Kylie. And I could where we ask about the events, maybe it's worth asking there how you advertised it, or we could put something into the template, I think, to try and address that. But it's almost a different question, right? How do we get people full stop? And I recognise the problem, and certainly for our experience in the Netherlands, we have these open science communities now set up bottom up from the researchers. They're not set up by the universities, and researchers are asked.
Vad fan är det här nu då?
Johan needs to mute, I think. They are really, I will mute him, there we are. They're really set up by the researchers, and they organise regular events themselves. But even they've said to me, when they invite us to do an event for them, we've tried to do fun things like the escape room. We've had some provocative topics that we've tried to bring to that group, and our sessions have been better attended than the ones they've organised themselves. So they were saying to us, what do you do? And I can only say, I think the only thing I can see that we're doing slightly differently is that we're trying to be a bit provocative. So the data horror escape room, and we had another horror event last year that was really well attended. So I don't think anyone has a particular magical wand for this, but like I say, getting the right people to send the message out, and maybe having something fun or a fun aspect is a way to try and pump up numbers. But also just time, I think, building up an audience over time. You know, if you do something nice, then the next time you get a few more, and the next time a few more. So it would be interesting to hear how other people are attacking this problem. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything today about things they found that worked, or people that are influential that it's good to have on board. If you want to say anything, raise your hand, or just put something in the chat.
I can add also to this question how to get the people, and it's not an easy task, and we try in Austria to use already established networks, so that we have already one foot in the door and promote it there. Then normally the people who are in a network read also the newsletters from these networks, especially when they're very active in there. We have also some cooperation projects where other universities are involved, and we want to promote over these projects as well, because these are very often funded by the ministry, and so also the high level directorate and so are looking at this, and we ask them. So we approach a bottom up and a top down in the same way. So using networks and promoting over networks. Some there are good visitors, and it's also different of the time. So when a lot of other events have to, and at the same time, and you never know it before, then you don't have much of attendees. But also we try to record them and make them available, and then advertise them afterwards. That will be other events like these.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to say anything else, Kylie, about that topic.
Yeah, actually, it was a great point about tapping into existing networks, because probably one of the best sessions I've ever done in terms of level of engagement was when I got contacted by a self-formed group of PhD students in psychology. Our psychology program's huge, where they had a regular journal club, and they wanted me to come along and talk about open science. So, of course, research data management fitted very, very nicely in there. And yeah, we went way over time, really good, interesting discussion. So yeah, that was fabulous. And another one that went really well actually was where for Open Access Week, I pulled together a panel of researchers from across the university. We teach everything, anthropology to zoology, as someone described earlier today, and researchers at different stages of their career, researchers dealing with sensitive data in the form of rock art, also sensitive data from human medical research, geophysical data, all different types. And that was actually really well attended as well, because we were able to tap into the bigger promotional activities around Open Access Week, both nationally, internationally, within our uni. And again, it was being encouraged at the top level of the uni. So yes, being able to tap into other activities and groups, I think is a really good tip. Thank you, Raman.
Yeah, and you've mentioned some national or international events there, and others that I think are worth thinking about are the Love Data Week in February around
I heard about that. Yes,
Valentine's Day on the 14th of February. Certainly, we organised something one year, not knowing if anyone was going to do anything, and then a big event was announced just a couple of weeks before nationally. So yeah, like you say, we were able to sort of link it, and it looked like we'd coordinated, but we hadn't. But we were able to help each other to promote the events. So Love Data Week is one, Data Horror Week at the end of October, connected with Halloween is another opportunity. Like you mentioned, Open Access Week, yeah, there are some more general open science events and conferences starting to pop up for researchers. And so we've also, we haven't really done this yet, but we've been talking about, can we're delivering sessions at some of those conferences, but we're thinking, could we do something in our own institution for people who couldn't attend? So, you know, you were interested but couldn't attend, come to our session, 1 hour only, you know, and learn a bit more about open science or research data management. So yeah, we're looking certainly at using those hooks. And I don't know if it was the reproducibility, this journal club. I don't know if that's a thing in Australia, but certainly
I don't know.
Yeah, because reproduce it. Maybe other people know more about this than me. I'm just trying to type it. I think it's like this in the chat. There's a Twitter feed about this. It's a kind of journal club for reproducibility. And I think they've even made some teapots that you can use. So I think it started in the UK, probably with the tea connection. And it's a journal club, and I know that they're quite active on Twitter. So people organising them outside the UK in whatever country tag reproducibility, and they organise these kind of journal clubs. And I know for a fact we've had some going on at Leiden, and when I contacted them and said, oh, I don't know if you're interested in something on data management, they almost jumped on me, you know, and said, please, yes, come along. So sometimes it's a case of reaching out to these people, like you said, and they love to have the connection with the support staff. I think sometimes there's a little bit of a barrier between the researchers and support staff, and if we just reach out, we can very easily cross, and they're very welcoming for us to deliver events and participate in their clubs, their forum. And so yeah, thanks Kylie for that. I think it's a good point.
Thank you. Fabulous ideas flying around. This is great. Keep them coming.
And talking about reproducibility and the Twitter feed, that's also I don't know how many of you are on Twitter, but I know I spoke about this with some other people in other countries, that maybe Twitter's not such an active place for researchers in all countries, but certainly I think in Europe there are some very active tweeters, and they are often quite open access-y type people who are very active and proactive and wanting to change the way science works. And they're very often active on Twitter. So it's worth having a look to see if you're not on already, to create an account and follow, see if you can find people from your own institution and follow them, and start to react to them on Twitter. And that can also raise awareness of your existence, and they can help promote your activities if you organise them, because they say that very often they're active in person as well as on Twitter. So it's a nice place to be, even if it's not like your whole university is on Twitter, it's just a few people. It's still worth investing the time, I think, in connecting with them there. And
also the connecting part, I think that's a very important thing. We have seen also some events when we asked other colleagues from other countries. So we invited to one session colleagues from the TU Delft to join us together in a session. That made it more attractive, and we had more participants as well. I think also to invite each other and present each other the expertise, what we have done in other institutions, is also interesting and attract more people than just when we are talking about the things what we are doing in our own institution. So often is the view from outside more interesting also for the people inside than the own view of the things.
I see a few people have posted some links to events and another game. I presume it's in French. Le cimetière des fichiers, the file graveyard. Thanks, Beth, for that. We're going to have a look at that afterwards. Before we finish, because I see time's moving on, I just wondered if people also had examples of exercises that they do. So we've talked a bit about events more generally and discussion events, but does anyone have nice hands-on exercises? I'd say maybe these are more in-person things, but also work online, I don't know. Please post in the chat if you have one. I can tell you a little bit about one that we use. And I say I'll make a case study for this to give more details. But we have we were doing something similar in person, and we've adapted it now to be able to use it online, and it's been working very well. And it's a good inspiration exercise that we use at the beginning of training sessions. So we have training sessions of between 8-12 hours with PhD students now in many of our faculties. And to inspire them at the beginning to understand why they should be thinking about their data and making it shareable or reusable and fair. We've taken some examples of some journal articles that have data sets attached, and then we've just given an assessment sheet for them. And the idea is that we've prompted them with some questions. How findable is the data set? How accessible is the data set? Can you open the files? Do you understand how the data is organized? Do you understand the coding of the data? If you wanted to reuse this data, do you know who you should cite or how you should cite the data? So we prompt some questions connected with whether the data is fair and ask them to give a score out of 10 for each of these, and then a total. And then we ask them to compare the different data sets. And then we have a discussion. Why was this one better? Why does this have a higher score than that one? What do you think they could have done better? What worked for you? How would you do this if you were sharing this data? And this activity works really well in getting them to understand the importance of documentation, organizing their data in a clear way, making the file formats open, that you don't need proprietary software for them, explaining in the description of the data set who created it, where it's come from, what it covers, and making the links between the paper and the data set as well. So it really gets them, it works really well. They come out of that saying, now I get it, now I see, it's no use just calling it data set, but giving it a name so that people understand. So just engaging them more actively, rather than telling them what they should do, but getting them to find out what they should do, is a really great way to then start the session and get them listening to what you want to share with them. Nathaniel, you stuck your hand up. Can you unmute and speak?
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm Nathaniel. I used to be based in Cape Town, South Africa, and I was affiliated with the Rural Doctors Association of Southern Africa. So this work exposed me to people being in rural and underserved areas, right? And through work with an Australian journal, Rural and Remote Health, we realized that in the medical area, there's a lot of medical doctors that do significant research-based work, but research data management is not big on the cards. And I think that represents a largely untapped pool of people. So if you connect with doctors and their association, I think we could generate a huge interest among doctors in those rural areas, because they don't always have the time to go to urbanized areas where research concentration is a bit easier. So attending this session now kind of raises my excitement for this, because I can imagine that there would be interest, but one of the main problems we experience is people checking their emails and actually just simply knowing what's going on. So for myself personally, I've noticed that alumni networks are often a great source of getting word out of developments. That's how we reached many of these doctors. So the universities I was associated with, they also reached me many emails that you check occasionally from alumni directives. Actually, these are more trustworthy sources for us. So I found your last contribution interesting. It reminded me of this. I think many people just have those moments. They put things together once they go through training exercises like this. And I think that's really valuable. I'd like to know if it's possible, if I could get people to write up a case study, specifically focusing on medical doctors or health personnel in rural, underserved areas away from city centers. Could that make sense in any kind of way?
Yeah. Absolutely, that sounds fantastic, Nathaniel, and it's certainly not a priority for us at the moment, me personally, to look at alumni, but I can see that they could be potentially very influential, and maybe operate in different places to the people who are currently working at the universities that we're working with. So like you say, alumni networks and also LinkedIn, I know there's a lot of potential there that I personally am not tapping at the moment, but I know some people are much more active there. And I would be very interested in your case study, or if you're aware, if you can get a case study from someone, I think they'd also be interested in that with a lot of people. So yeah, we're keen for all kinds of different case studies, not just for groups of students within universities, but really any kinds of case studies in any kinds of communities, in any country, any level, any software, tools, however that's used. I think the wider the variety, the more interesting it becomes. So yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's just yesterday I was in the RDA meeting that was held in the evening, and one of the thoughts expressed was the fact that many people don't sign up to these events if there's not organizational buy-in. So people are affiliated to an organization, but the organization is not a member of the wider of RDA or groups like this to promote. So sometimes you have to target both the users and the organizations they subscribe to. So that could actually that could be where the case study would be directed at, I think. So that would be really interesting to see if something like that could work.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, you're making me think. I know of some funders who are interested, of course, in fair data and changing the culture, and maybe they have case studies that that we're not thinking about right now. Because yeah, most of the organisers, the co-chairs of this group, I think, are in scientific research organisations. So yeah, that's how we tend to think, but there's a much wider interest in research data management. So yeah, all and every example welcome, and I say feedback on the study template. Thanks to Kylie for the suggestion there, but any others, you can reach out to me personally through my email, or put something in the collaborative notes for today. If you have any ideas, just post something. If it's not clear, if you think I might need to ask more about it, leave your name, and I'll get in touch with you if I don't understand your suggestion exactly. But yeah, just engage with us and help us. And if you have any thoughts about how we share these case studies, I say I'm also interested. We were talking about Zenodo but we haven't done anything exactly like this in Zenodo before, so I don't know if people have other suggestions for a better way to share them, either as PDFs or in some kind of database. I don't know. Any all ideas, suggestions, welcome to help us think along about that. I see the time and I think we have to start drawing to a close now. So thanks for all your ideas, your suggestions so far. I think I'll hand back to, is it Ellie or Raman? Maybe Raman, he's unmuted, I don't know, to close the session. But thanks for joining us and thank you for your suggestions on this topic. Raman.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you, Ellie, for keeping the notes. That's really great. And we have also, you already put in the link for the notes. So if anyone wants to have this information in a written way, please go to this link and see it. I think it's also connected. So this link is also part of the overall session you find in the program. So if you don't have it now copy pasted from the chat, you will also find it afterwards. The recordings will be also available. So if other people are interested or you want to go back to some aspects we discussed in this session, you can see it also afterwards again. For me, it was a very great session. I hope you all enjoyed it. And for me, it's also the big essential, also what we hear now from Nathaniel, that we have so many different use cases. Because if you look in different use cases and you see how other approaches, and even if you have different countries, different culture, these approaches, when you adopt it to your situation, you can learn a lot from them. You can think out of the box and you can find new ways to engage with researchers, to bring the idea of data management into your institution, into your community. I think that's the best, and that's all what this interest groups is about. And I want also to give some credits for this group to Marta Teperek. She had the additional idea for this group. She had also the additional idea to the cookbook, and it's the foundation of her idea, what she did, what you're doing now. And I will give now the words to my co-chairs for the last words.
No, just a big thank you. I also really enjoyed it, and I see in the chat. I'm very glad that people also share the same, enthusiasm and feelings going out of the session. And really looking forward for people to join. If you haven't done it already, join our group and get in touch. We will be here. We will be doing this in the foreseeable future. And yeah, looking forward to your case studies. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks and goodbye. Have a good conference. We'll see you around.
Have a good conference. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.